On January 13th, Thailand became the first country in the world outside of China to have a case of coronavirus. On January 31st, the first transmission was confirmed, a 61-year-old Chinese woman from Wuhan. On January 31st, 5 more cases were reported, so now the total of cases was 19. One of the cases was a local taxi driver who probably got infected by a Chinese tourist that he picked up, which made him the first human-to-human virus transmission in Thailand. In early March, the number of cases spiked to over 100 per day. So on March 18th, the government began shutting down all the schools, all the universities, bars, traditional massage parlors, and beauty salons in Bangkok and the surrounding provinces. And the government began suggesting that people observe social distancing. Also to wear masks and to wash their hands. On March 22nd, Thailand reported 188 new cases, which is the largest single-day rise since the virus hit. Then on March 26th, the Prime Minister declared a state of emergency. Only essential shops are allowed to stay open and domestic travel is restricted. Also, the country's borders are closed to most foreigners, except those who are already in the country. And then on April 3rd, the government imposed a curfew. No one on the streets after 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. And the government banned all foreigners from entering Thailand, which was a real blow because Thailand is so dependent on tourism. So now most of the 32,000 hotels in Thailand are closed and their workers are all out of jobs. On the day that the United States recorded its 1 millionth coronavirus victim, Thailand had only about 3,000 coronavirus patients. And while the number of cases in the United States was leveling off, the number of cases in Thailand had already fallen. And while so far the United States has recorded 172 deaths per million people, Thailand has recorded less than 1 death per million people. So the restrictions on daily life seem to be working. During the lockdown, Dim and I pretty much confined ourselves to our small condo. They don't force you to stay home, it's voluntary. And even though the problem in Thailand isn't as bad as it is in other places, we try to play it safe and limit our contact with other people. Because we live in a condo and not in a house, we don't have a garden to keep us busy. So most of the time we're just doing housework. We spend a lot of time watching TV. There's round-the-clock coverage of the virus.
เชื้อโควิด -19 ฟรีค่ะด้วยวิธีการเก็บสารคัดหลั่งจากโพรงจมูกซึ่งหลายคนให้ข้อมูลกับที่พัทยาแบบระยะยาว 2-4 เดือนหรือบางคน 6 เดือนค่ะ
And if the TV's not on, well then we'll just listen to nice, relaxing music. We spend a lot of time on our phones, catching up on our email, reading the latest news from the United States, and getting the latest info on the virus, or just catching up on email. One of the biggest celebrations in Thailand is the Songkran Festival in early April. Songkran is one of the biggest and most important holidays in Thailand. It's celebrated with parades, religious ceremonies, festivals throughout the country. Water is a big part of this celebration, and it's customary to splash water on people that you meet in the streets, even strangers. But this year it was canceled. It would be like canceling Christmas in the United States. Our phones have come in real handy. One day Dim's eyes were irritating her, so she called one of her good friends, who's a pharmacist, and she got some good advice over the phone. The pharmacist recommended some eye drops, which Dim just happened to have. Our smartphone keeps us connected with our family back in the United States. On Easter, they called us and we watched our little grandson hunt for Easter eggs. It's almost as good as being there. Even though we're halfway around the world, we can watch our grandson grow up. Our smartphone also lets us keep in touch with our friends.
พอครับบ๊ายบายกันเพิ่งจะมาเริ่มใหม่
Some of them live in a town called Hua Hin, which is about 2 hours south of Bangkok. But some of them are far away, like in Australia. Yet we can still get together on our smartphones, just like we used to. Jim and I have a daily routine now. In the morning, she slices up fresh fruits that we just bought at the market. And we each have a bowl of delicious pineapples, papayas, mangoes, watermelon, and dragon fruit, or whatever else happens to be in season at the time. I've been a vegetarian for about 3 or 4 years now, and the only animal product I eat is yogurt made from fresh milk. I also make a hibiscus tea. We get our fresh drinking water from downstairs in the lobby. There's a fresh water dispenser there, and for 10 baht we can fill up 2 big gallon jugs. We have a washer in the condo, so Dim does her clothes whenever we run out. And then we air dry our clothes just like most people in Thailand. Very few people have dryers because the weather is so warm here and the clothes dry out fairly quickly. Every night, Dim gets her 40-minute foot massage, which I've been doing since September 2017. That's when I graduated from the Thai massage school at Wat Po Temple here in Bangkok. Sometimes you'd have to go down to the office to pick up packages or to take care of business. Now you can no longer go into the office. They set up a table outside in order to keep people from going inside. I noticed that many Westerners still don't wear masks, even when they are requested to do so by the condominium authorities. Today we're going grocery shopping. I like that there's hand sanitizers right outside the door. Once again, the streets are fairly empty. There's not a lot of traffic. Of course, that's because there's not a lot of places that are open. This intersection is usually jam-packed with people, but today it's pretty light traffic. There's still a lot of street vendors. They have to make a living.
แล้วลูกเล็กเท่าไหร่พี่อันนั้นหกร้อง80
And of course, all the convenience stores are open too. Public transportation is running as normal, but not a lot of passengers. Today, we have to stop into the bank to take care of some business. In Thailand, most essential services are still running. So all grocery stores and food vendors are still at work. This is good because in Thailand, a lot of the people who sell food are poor. So they can still make a living. There are a lot of Western-style supermarkets in Thailand. But a lot of people still like to buy their food from street vendors. Not only are the prices low, but the food is fresh. You can buy the freshest meats you'll find anywhere, and fresh fish cleaned before your very eyes. Fresh fruits picked that same day. week when we ran out of food, we'd have to replenish our stock, so we'd head out to the supermarket. In times like these, we would sometimes avoid the street vendors because we feel more comfortable shopping in a modern supermarket. At the supermarket, they check everybody for temperature, and they have hand sanitizing stations. There's no shortage of food and supplies in Thailand. We heard from our friends in the United States that they ran out of toilet paper and diapers because people were hoarding them, but so far there doesn't seem to be any hoarding going on here. What they don't do here is limit the number of shoppers at any given time, so it's a little hard to keep your distance when you're shopping. One of the things we really like to do in Thailand is exercise at the gym on the 36th floor in our condo. And then spend an hour or so in the pool and cool down. During the lockdown, that all came to an end. They closed the gym. And they closed the swimming pool too. So after being stuck in the condo all day, we like to try to get out at least once a day. And so in the evening, about 6 o'clock, when the sun has gone down and it's not so hot, we put on our shoes, we go downstairs, we walk across the street, over to the BTS station, and climb the stairs leading up to the bridge. Normally you expect to see a lot of traffic at this hour because it's quitting time, but not a lot of people are at work, so the traffic's not so heavy. And when you look across to the river, you hardly see any boats at all. Usually this river is just teeming with traffic. Taxi riverboats, barges loaded with rice, boats loaded with tourists. But since the lockdown, there's hardly any traffic at all. Over on the other side of the river, there's a nice little exercise park. It has gym equipment that anybody can use. It's open to the public. And a lot of people take advantage of it. Before the lockdown, we used to like to go and walk around the track. There's a fair amount of people that like to do the same thing. We'd walk for about an hour until it started to get dark. After the lockdown, they closed the park. So then we just walk around the perimeter of the park. Tim liked to walk with the rest of the people, but I saw a lot of people not wearing masks, so it made me feel a little uncomfortable. Makes you wonder if they really care about social distancing. I try to avoid as many people as I can, so I'd choose a spot where there was not a lot of people and just would walk around and around in a small circle. When it got dark, we'd cross the bridge again. It's kind of eerie looking out across a river with no traffic. Normally there's dozens of boats at this time of night going up and down the river loaded with tourists. There's the biggest shopping mall in Thailand. It's closed. The SkyTrain keeps its normal schedule, but it seems to be empty. When we got to the other side of the river, we usually stop at this vendor who was selling corn on the cob. Hot, steamed corn on the cob. And that's an example of our typical day under lockdown in Bangkok.